that bad. It's
All views expressed by the hosts and guests in this podcast are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of their respective employers. Guests and hosts may maintain positions in the assets discussed in this podcast. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and nothing in the podcast is intended to be financial, legal, or even life advice.
GM everyone, welcome back again to More Than Speculation. In this bear market, we have a special guest, 563. Is that the right way to call you, or do you prefer to be called by other names?
No, that's fine, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome, sir.
563, it's a very good friend of mine. He is with Blocmates, one of the best research and media arm. One of the guys that actually know their shit. That does have holding more than 5K, actually. So it's not those no skin in the game researcher. But yeah, thanks for coming. Let's get right into it. We'll start with 5 rapid questions, just like always. What's the most bullish thing for the next 3 months?
Oh man, you see Rumble just bought some Bitcoin. No, I don't know. Next 3 months is kind of up in the air right now. I feel like everybody's all worried about macro. And when people start worrying about macro, it's always the worst bearish times. Remember when that was going on during the bear market? It was just rough. So yeah, I'm just hoping to survive the next 3 months. That's the goal. Do you guys read that recent piece that Degen Spartan put out?
Yes.
That was survive takeaway. Survive. And honestly, I was reading a lot of folks just blew themselves up, just max long in the top. You just gotta read the room, man. You gotta survive.
Go read the room.
Wait. Just quickly, when you say Rumble bought Bitcoin, Rumble, like Donald
Trump
company?
Yeah, now. They just bought a couple hundred Bitcoin. Crazy.
What was your biggest fumble this cycle?
Oh, bro. We want to really bring that up. Yeah, sure. My first purchase of Fartcoin was under 1 mil. And my first sell of Fartcoin was at 3 mil. So that was probably the biggest fumble.
Believe in something, bro.
I didn't believe enough. I was I sold a big chunk of it after I was up 20x. And I was if I don't sell this thing called Fartcoin at 20x up, I'm just
you'll regret it forever.
Regret it. But then it just kept going and going and going. And that would have been, oh man, over 1,000x, 2,000x if I had caught the top. So yeah. That's probably the biggest fumble of the cycle. But honestly, profit is profit, so you can't be too mad at yourself. But it still stings to look at those transactions.
What was the biggest win this cycle?
Oh, I bet pretty big on this whole AI meta pretty early. That was probably my biggest win, AI16Z, Virtuals, Cerebro, and caught some early runners on the smaller caps too. Those are probably the biggest wins. I was able to time out some pretty nice exits. Didn't exit completely and didn't sell enough, but at least, got some cash outs. I'm not sweating too hard when the market's like this.
So 563 is actually one of the guys that kept trying to sway me into the AI meta meanwhile I mid-curved it all the way. I read everything he wrote, but I just couldn't buy it. I just bought a little bit to feel it, but I was oh man, I don't get it. But yeah. Are you still?
No, you start drinking your own Kool-Aid at some point to it. You got to be careful not to get too invested in your own theses. I think that was one of the main lessons I had during this cycle, is to understand when or how much gas is left in the trade. Who is left out there to buy versus who's actually going to buy. And yeah, that was a big lesson learned as well.
By the way, I think my problem is that I drank my own Kool-Aid the last 2 cycles. This cycle, I just didn't drink any Kool-Aid.
I
didn't.
He stopped believing, bro.
Yeah, after a few X, I was I bro, I'm out of it.
I mean, honestly, a mix of those two is probably the best, but it's tough to turn on both sides of the brain at once, right? To be retarded enough to go into a trade and be smart enough to exit the trade. It's just, two different skill sets a lot of times.
Are you still very bullish on TAO?
Yes. Still
Okay.
very bullish TAO.
Okay, what's the best alpha on TAO?
The best alpha on TAO. Well, now you can actually trade the subnet tokens, which is very, very interesting to me. Like before, it was like you're buying this index of AI startups. Like maybe you're buying like the S&P of AI startups, but now you can bet on individual startups, which I find really interesting. So
When did
you
that
can
happen?
actually that just happened a few weeks ago. They moved to this thing called dynamic TAO. So it's really on, like, they did this because there's not like an easy way to distribute rewards. Like you can think of TAO as like Bitcoin.
Actually,
If Bitcoin,
can I hold you?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Can I hold you one second?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna do what my understanding of TAO is.
Yeah, go for
and
it.
because it's a little bit capped there, and then like this is like my public learning time to like so I'm sure most of our readers are like half-assed TAO as well, because like I speak with them all the time in our community, so I know. All right, so TLDR, from what I followed, and the TAO is like TAO. It's a little bit, you can imagine it's like you can let me see. It's an AI network where you can share some sort of compute power or GPUs, something, while users can vote to get emission voted to certain subnets to get resources. The tokenomics is a little bit like Polkadot. The best thing about it is it has a first mover advantage in the AI part. Something to do with the tokenomics, and it's like the first mover of AI, but people it haven't been performed as well because they haven't been like one subnet that stood out compared all the AI agent stuff. So it kind of flayed out a little bit. And the recent catalyst is a dynamic TAO, which is supposed to hold the value more and allowing subnet tokens to be traded better. And then the value should circle jerk a little bit better, right?
Yeah, kind of. There's a lot of good points there. I like to think less of TAO as like a Polkadot equivalent and more of it like a Bitcoin equivalent. So with Bitcoin, right, you're rewarding these miners for securing the network, and you just give them Bitcoin for mining, and it's kind of just thoughtless. It's like you don't have to be that talented to join the Bitcoin mining pool. You can just like provide compute. Yeah, exactly. But Bittensor is supposed to, like, the whole goal is to have these incentives for building new AI platforms. So what if we took the idea of Bitcoin and distributed those coins to folks that are actually building AI? And that's the whole premise. Like, people always talk about the inflation of TAO as like a negative, but like that's the point. It's supposed to go out and fund these different projects that are building in AI. Yeah, I think that a lot of the reason why I didn't catch like the AI agent narrative is that it was already so big. Like 4 bill is a tough one to sell to someone when they can start punting on like 1 mil agent tokens. And they didn't have dynamic TAO at the time. So that was your only option, was just to bid TAO. You couldn't bid any of these subnet tokens. You couldn't bid any of the smaller ones. But basically why they started having these subnet tokens is, before, how you distribute these emissions was up to like the largest set of validators. So it's like a little cabal, right? Because you get these a few validators get to decide how all these emissions get spread out. It's not that efficient. Maybe some teams kind of like just hang on because they've been there for a while. But they moved to this whole market-driven approach where if your subnet is worth more, like if someone like actually buys that token, then you get more rewards. So it kind of makes people have the skin in the game, right? Because they have to actually bet with their dollars, saying like, I think this should be worth more, therefore they should get more emissions. And if I'm right, then the price keeps going up and I earn money. But if I'm wrong, I could lose this money. And it gets a lot better that way, I think.
Sorry, can I ask like more like specific questions? How does the tokenomics work? So is it like, can everyone be a validator? Like how do I farm? Do I still provide validator or nodes to farm TAO?
Not really. No. So as like a speculator, like just on the outside, you can buy and sell these subnet tokens. That's kind of our role, is saying, okay, I think this subnet's undervalued. I think this one's overvalued. I'm going to buy this and sell this based on that. the actual players of the game within the subnet are like AI researchers and people that are judging the output of those researchers, if that makes sense. So it could be anything. It can be like, that's kind of the whole modular nature of Bittensor, is you can spin up any kind of competition as a subnet.
Am I thinking it too DeFi? Do you think that supposedly I can buy up a subnet token that's 563 to get more emission of TAO, and if TAO doesn't go down, technically it's a plus EV play?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Not really.
Wait.
No, it's a good question though.
Yeah. No, like I have one like specifics also. So like I guess when you make the comparison to Bitcoin, and that's a good one, to call like he's a professional storyteller right there. It's not Polkadot, it's Bitcoin. Like how like I guess so the rewards, like the emissions in TAO tokens, are given to specific subnets that a lot of the validators voted for, right? And then
the old version of what it was. Now it's based on the market value of the tokens.
Oh, okay, now it's based on market value. So, but like as soon as they get those tokens and they won, let's say, like, did they just sell it to fund their own research, or like what's the? I guess for like Bitcoin, like I'm sure like the early skeptics of Bitcoin are gonna say, oh yeah, like miners are just gonna get it, they're just gonna dump, so there's no value, blah blah, right? But then like people are saying, oh, it's the digital gold, so that's why where the value is coming from. So like in this case, like what would, I guess, the recipients of those emissions be doing, and why are they incentivized to like hold, I guess?
That's a good question. Yeah, the main point why it's related to Bitcoin is because there's 21 million supply, there's a halving schedule, there's that constant emission. It borrowed a lot of the tokenomics from Bitcoin and just basically said, what if we took Bitcoin's tokenomics and made it so we can power different AI startups? Yeah, so the folks that are earning the TAO itself are subnet miners and subnet validators. So subnet miners are basically just AI researchers that are providing the intelligence. They're competing in this game, and the better they do at this game, the more rewards they get. It gets a little complicated now because they're not exactly earning TAO, they're earning the DTAO token, so that the actual subnet token. So it's basically like they're earning equity in that subnet. And they kind of have to be aligned with the goals of that subnet, or else why would you want to earn equity of that subnet? Right? It's kind of like you going to work for a company, but you don't believe in it, but you're only getting paid in that company's stock. You wouldn't necessarily do that. It's kind of like you're investing in that company. So it's a lot more aligned right now. And yeah, subnets kind of have to think about it too, because the owner of the subnet also gets paid in their own subnet token. And if they just start dumping their own token, then they also get less emissions, right? Because their token price goes down. Therefore, they get less TAO emissions into that pool. And that's kind of how it works now. It's a little more complicated, but it tries to align the incentives between all the different players.
Understood. And the TAO emission is set, like, let's say, per e-plot and given to every subnet depending on the performance. Okay.
Yeah, it's set every epoch, and there's also a little more detail in there that if there's more activity, it also kind of pushes back the halving event because some TAO gets recycled. So yeah, you can get this whole ultrasound money meme in there eventually, but that's probably way down the line.
Okay. If I'm new to TAO, where should we start? Like, cause like, to be honest, I've been clicking around. Tokenomics is complicated. There's too many subnets. Is there like info and stuff like how do I start other than following you?
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's why we started the whole like TAO Talk podcast and show, whatever, but I can give some quick tools because probably that'll help. Let me bring up
fascinating.
Let's bring up TAO stats, because this is kind of just a big overview of what's going on Bittensor and kind of gives you the lay of the land. So right now you can sort by the emission, and you can see which subnets are receiving the most emission. So up at the top, we have Targon and Shoots. These guys are both working on inference. So say you're running an AI application, and in the background, you're just pinging OpenAI over and over, like with requests, like go prompt this, go ask this question to OpenAI. What you could do instead is you could replace that API call with an API call to either Targon or Shoots, and do it a lot cheaper and a lot faster, because what you're actually, like, the miners on those subnets are their goal, and the way they get paid is they provide inference as fast as possible. That's their whole reward mechanism. So that's what they do right now. And if you actually go over to OpenRouter, go ahead.
Before we switch, those are the market cap is in TAO, right? So times around 250.
Yeah, I look at it like, so right now, the price of Targon, for example, is 0.16 tau. So each Targon token is worth that much. So in dollars, that would be about $41. So about $41 per token. And the way I like to think about, because the market cap is so low, because these are also on like a quote unquote fair launch where it's like a Bitcoin emission very, very slowly being added to the pool. Right. So this market cap is probably not the best way to look at it because it's only like 13 mil right now. The way I look at it is say, okay, this is worth about 16% of the Bittensor network, right? Because the price is about points or about 16% of a tau. And if you were to add all of these up, they should get around 1 tau because that's how much the network itself is worth. And then if you split it up into all the subnets, yeah. So I would say if you're buying this, you're hoping that, or you're thinking that the Targon network itself is worth 16% of the Bittensor network. That's how I like to think about it.
Someone was telling me that you shouldn't value them in the valuation because of something with the dynamic of the tokenomics. Like if it's not really actually like 12 mil or something like that. And because of the emission or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's just super early. So for example, if we were to go into this Targon one here, you can see...
look at those candles. Bro.
You can see the emissions per day.
Right.
Is just pretty high. And so these emissions are what are going into so every single subnet itself, the only way to access it is with tau, because there's this uni v1 pool of tau and the subnet token itself. And that's what you can see here with tau in pool, and alpha is just the subnet token. So there's a bunch of subnet token in the pool, there's some tau in the pool, and every epoch, every tick, there's some tau that goes in the pool depending on the price of the token, right? Because that's how much emission it gets. And there's some alpha that goes in the pool, the token itself. So it's just slowly building over time.
Wait, let me see. So if no one buys, the market cap should go lower and lower. No, this should go higher.
Okay.
Because there's no emission of. I'm assuming the tau emission is flat. Is there emission on alpha?
There is.
Where do I see the emission alpha?
So you're not going to see it here. It's just the same as the Bitcoin emission, same as the tau emission. So in reality, the emission itself doesn't change the price.
It just thickens the liquidity.
It just thickens the liquidity, exactly.
It just thickens.
It's important to remember it's really early and there's not a lot of liquidity. Like this is the largest one and it's 13 mil market cap, and all of that is in the pool. So you can see, right? Well, this is not exactly.
Okay.
Whatever.
I can see why like my friends are bullish on it, but they didn't know how to put money in it. No.
I think it's still pretty early to play, especially because if we go back, if you add all of these up, ignore root. If you add all of these numbers up, like I said before, you should get around 1 if you go to all of them. But right now it's 1.3. So people are a little bullish. They're buying, and this number is kind of converging towards 1, as it, in my opinion, probably should, because the entire network is made up of these subnets. And if these subnets are worth more than the entire network, does that really make sense? There's debates on either side.
Is unlimited subnets, or is it like a limited amount of subnets?
It used to be limited. Now it is unlimited. So now there is, if you go to the stats, you can start looking at how much it costs to register a subnet. Is it not here anymore? Maybe it's on the subnet page. Down here, you can see how much it costs to register a subnet. So currently it costs like 300 tau to register a subnet, but every tick that goes down, and then once someone buys a subnet, it doubles in price. So it's supposed to converge around a new subnet every 2 days or so. Sorry, what was that, Marco?
Is it like, how much is that in like dollar terms?
Times 250. Do your Asian
times 250. Oh yeah. Bro, like I thought it was like $40. I'm not aware of TAO's price, bro. Okay.
I'm aware
Got
because
it,
I'm a
got it.
pack holder, bro.
Okay.
The thing with these here, like it's interesting because it's so early, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I'm a little bit too busy to be and not bullish enough to be fully embed myself into this ecosystem. But I just want to buy something that represent a non-dilutive hedge of holding it and believing this thing, and it's kind of difficult.
One like very like maybe like simple questions just for the normie. Like if they go here and then they buy any of the subnets, should they have a different framework in thinking about like how this is going to go up, or is it the same as like buying an agent at like any of the launchpad? Like is the pool model very simple, just like basically more buyers going to go up, or is there like some rebasing, some other stuff that they need to be aware of, or they can just see, oh, it's 5 million market cap, I hope it's going to go to 30, if I put 1K it's going to be 6K.
Can I try to answer this?
Yeah, go for it, man.
So there's a few moving factors. The first moving factor is the amount of TAO going into the pool is based on the emission they get from the Bittensor, which is based on the metrics such as price, such as the whatever performance they get. And so every month, every week, or every epoch, they should get a different amount of TAO. And then assuming there's no buy or sell pressure, the liquidity should be the same, assuming the emission of the subnet token is same or custom as well. So if I was me, I think I will figure out the curve of the pool. We need to figure it somehow. And then based on the curve, we can figure out the per epoch emission of the subnet token plus the changing emission and the assumption emission of the TAO to see the liquidity changes, right?
I think it's even simpler than that. I would just look at, okay, pick one of these, say Bitmind, and it says this subnet should be worth around 9% of the TAO market cap, or of the TAO network. Do you think it should be 9%, or do you think it should be more or less? And that's all you have to think about.
That's a valuation.
Like, I'm like,
not
I'm playing devil's advocate though. But like if you think it's 9%, right? Like I mean, like let's say that's like a bullish scenario. But if they're getting a lot of emissions, it's harder for it to pump, right? Like one of the, because the liquidity is going to be thicker. Like one of the, I think like chart game that like all of these, like a lot of the AI launchpad tokens did, is that like the liquidity is like structured in a way in which it's very easy to pump and very easy to dump. That's why it like creates a lot of like interesting story. This is more sound, I guess, but I'm trying to understand like the pumpamentals here.
It's okay.
I mean, the
if you
liquidity
go
is
there,
not too thick. Like,
if you go there and just put like 50K in, if you go in there, do a 50K trade and you look at the slippage, that's the easiest way to see like how bad the liquidity or how good the liquidity is, essentially, right?
Let's try that. If this actually lets me.
They're thinking you are AI already.
It's acceptable.
Mate, these are getting harder and harder, by the way. I keep failing them.
Here we go. So slippage for 50 TAO. How much did you want? You want like
let's do 100. 1,000 is fine. Yeah. So it's not
7.5% slippage.
It's not bad.
Pretty thick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite thick. Because I think they're using not even V2 model. They're using something else for sure.
V1, right? You said like you need.
I think it's just a V1 pool.
Okay.
Do they have their own wallet? I assume they have their own wallet and everything as well, right?
No, so the only way to access these tokens is through this V1 pool. So that's where these tokens live. And you're basically getting a claim on that token by putting TAO into the pool.
Sorry, what wallet do you use?
You can use the native Bittensor wallet. You can use Talisman, which was like a Polkadot wallet. Yeah, it's a throwback, right? Those are the two main ones. I've been trying out both. They're both pretty good.
Sorry to stop you with that many questions. Like, what were the other twos that you wanted to share?
Yeah, no problem, man. I was just going to show like some applications that actually are powered by Bittensor, because that kind of brings it to the real life.
Yeah,
let's go. I'm loving this. Learn with 563.
as the title suggests, it's more than speculation. So we can learn the actual thing. It's not just the charts, bro.
Yeah, it's not just the charts. So go into like some of the top. So we talk about like the top ones, the top subnets right here. So Shoots and Targon are topping them right now. So something you can play around with on Shoots is this. So Glider is kind of a really nice, simple chat interface, and it's private, it's fast, and you can use DeepSeek on it. So right now you can just like chat with DeepSeek and be like, do my taxes or something, and it'll like just ping it for you. You can save an account, you can save all your chats, and you can do this in like whatever. It's telling me it can't do my taxes for me, but it's
Is it like a wrapper
just a really
to
nice way to
keep your information secret or something?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some encryption going on, or it doesn't necessarily tie your account to the ping it sends out to the miners.
Right.
But yeah, so I use this basically as like a chat bot if you wanted to use something like R1 or O1, but don't want to pay ChatGPT or have them track you.
Nice.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. So that's Glider. You can see these actually in action. So going back to the whole who would actually use this stuff, if you go to OpenRouter, and so folks that are building AI applications and they want to like ping AI models, they'll often go to OpenRouter and just basically like pick which model they want to use. And so they want to use Google Gemma or whatever. So if you go to like top weekly, you can see how much people are using for like Google Flash, DeepSeek, Gemini. And this is just an easy API for people to plug into. But if we go to DeepSeek R1, we can see who's actually providing all these tokens is Shoots and Targon. So right now you can go and like use OpenRouter and you're using Bittensor in the background because Shoots and Targon are providing these inference requests. So any application that uses OpenRouter, that uses R1 specifically, is using Bittensor in the background. Pretty cool.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. And so you want to actually play around with these yourself. I think Shoots app itself is really cool because like this Quen just dropped QWQ not too long ago, and within 2 hours it was up on Shoots. And so you can grab this, you have an application, you can ping with its API, or you can just like actually just chat with it and chat in the interface here. So it has a ton of the models that you can hear about on the news, and you can just like play with them right here. I've been using like this as well as like image models just on here for just playing around with it too.
I got it. I want to take a step back and like ask you like a POV from like a builder's perspective. I'm sure you have heard of like the Manus AI, right? The one that's like recently viral. You need like access code to like play with it. Just from a builder's perspective, what would be the reason that they would want to build, let's say, like an AI application on top of Bittensor, other than just like doing it themselves, like these like Manus guys? Is it mostly like the rewards and like the open sourceness, or is there like a different kind of like edge and consideration?
Yeah, so the reason I like Bittensor is that it only uses blockchain tech where it makes sense, and everywhere else it just doesn't because it gets in the way. So the intelligence that's being produced in these subnets, that's kind of what the subnets do. It's just like a source of intelligence, whether that's inference, data, you name it. So folks don't necessarily have to know they're using Bittensor in the background. So like people that are using DeepSeek over on OpenRouter don't know that Shoots and Targon are providing it. Like miners out there are serving these requests. They just know that they're getting this for free and they're getting really fast inference requests. That's kind of how I think it should be, really. You don't use it because it's on Bittensor, you use it because it's the best.
So people use it because of funding, I guess?
People use it because, what do you mean? Like the applications
why would I
themselves?
build? No, sorry. As a developer, why would I build it on top of Bittensor? Instead of like just privatize all the thing, everything, like use the typical
like build a
ChatGPT
subnet?
wrapper. Like why? I assume there's some like additional dev work for building on the subnet instead of just like straight up make a wrapper on top of like DeepSeek AI.
Yeah, sure. So there are a lot of like Web 2 companies that come to Bittensor to build a subnet because they just want to host a competition. So for example, I talked to this team that's like a cybersecurity team in like the Web 2 space. And they saw like, have you ever heard of like Kaggle competitions where it's like an open source bug hunting competition? And they said, why don't we just make this on Bittensor and use the TAO rewards to pay out these bug bounty rewards? And you can host it in a permissionless way, and you get like the best of the best trying to solve those problems because they're paid to solve those problems. Because the miners that do the best get paid out in TAO. And yeah, that's kind of why subnet owners come to the play. And the reason why miners come to play is just because they get paid the best as well.
I see. Understood.
So you get the best of the best.
All right, before jumping into more about yourself, like, sorry for the clickbait purpose, I have to put more TAO in the front, but I'm sure my Marco here is now very fascinated in your background and why you like it so much. Is there anything you want to highlight more to TAO before we move on?
Yeah, let's rapid fire a couple apps just so that people can go play around with them.
Let's go.
This one's pretty cool. It's called 404 Gen. So tell me something you want the prompt. It makes like a 3D image.
A sheep that's eating.
Sheep that is eating. Okay. I'll generate that. It'll take a minute or two, but we'll come back to that one. Another one is Dippy. So have you ever heard of like character AI? It's like a companion bot that you can play with.
Oh yeah.
So
I need that.
So anybody that wants to just chat about like emotional stuff, or you just want to like have a therapist.
Brother, look at those tags: romantic, sexy, toxic, mean, mafia, husband.
You can build your own.
What kind of stuff
this is all you need, man. All you need. And you can pick anything, brother. And it doesn't judge. But this is all open source. You don't have to give your data.
The creator is definitely a weeb, man.
Yeah. You don't have to give your data to some Web 2 company that's just going to like store that and sell it off to somebody else. It's all open source. This has like over 1 million downloads over on Google Play. So Dippy app. One more. Damn. Oh no, two more. You got Bitmind if you want to do any deepfake detecting. They have this really nice plugin that'll just like ping any image, and it'll tell you if it's AI generated or not. And that's free. You can download it over on Bitmind.
It's good.
Really cool. And then one more for AI detection is just text detection. So you can drop in any kind of text here, and you can run a scan and say if it's AI generated.
I just read Hyperliquid 50x.
Oh, yeah, I just dropped this in.
Wait, what's the Chinese character?
The character is just like brother, 50x the Hyperliquid, brother.
I grabbed this from Twitter's AI generated news post, so I was like, okay, that'll flag it. So it found it. It works.
Got it.
So there's that too, bro. My app timed out. There it is.
No worries.
Oh, man.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
I don't know what it's eating. But the cool thing about
it, what file do you download it in?
So you can download it and actually like put it into video games on like the Unreal Engine and stuff like that.
Oh shit! This is pretty dope.
So you can actually build these, and it'll have like, I don't know if you ever made games before, but it'll model out where the appendages are. So like it'll know the wireframe. Yeah. It'll know the wireframe of the object you're making too. So if you have a human, it'll.
You know, if you make one of this, there's some apps that you can use it to AI track your face now. Like if you, it maps it properly. Like I have a sheet that's done like that, basically.
Yeah, that's like all of the VTuber, right? Like
exactly.
Some of them are very advanced. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's enough apps. I think folks should just go play around with stuff.
No, dude, like I think we just talked about a lot of stuff, but we did not even ask about yourself. Like how did you like fall into this rabbit hole, and like what's your story?
Oh yeah. Where do I start? I guess my background I got a couple degrees in aerospace engineering.
Couple, bro, is that normal?
A little rocket scientist, right?
A couple, is that normal, bro?
Just bachelor's and master's. And I started my career over with NASA and then did some work with on military programs, but kind of fell down the whole crypto rabbit hole, I don't know, I guess 5-ish years ago. Got completely wrecked, and then, but kind of fell in love with the whole, tokenized building blocks of DeFi and that sort of thing. And it just really fascinated me. So I started writing. I wrote some articles. A couple of them got traction, and started doing some work with Cryptonary and then Bankless, and wrote some articles for those guys. Just kind of, put my thoughts out there, and that was a lot of fun. And I stumbled upon Blockmates, and I realized they were doing a little bit different. They were always like really early to stuff, and they had a really unique voice, which I thought was really cool. Because especially with AI these days, you can just tell what's AI slop and what actually has something to say, like some personality behind it. And I really appreciated how Blockmates did that. So I just really wanted to be on the team. I practically begged to head up their research team, and building up this whole new arm of like more serious, actionable research. And so now we got.
What I got from the conversation was, you prefer Blockmates over Bankless, and you put the seriousness in Blockmates.
I don't know about that.
No, like,
maybe
dude,
not
like
serious, but more in depth. Because like a lot of folks, they want to read like the headlines, they get the quick hitters, but there's like maybe 5% of readers really want the nitty gritty, like why does this work? What's the full thesis? That sort of thing. So that's why we set up like the meal deal, like subscription, and that's for like the very hardcore, in the weeds, in the trenches guys that want to get into all that. So we have a group of like 4 other researchers that are providing reports. We do live streams, give like our real takes on the market, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun working with those guys.
Okay, let's give them a bit of airtime. Like, how much is the price?
Meal deal costs. So Lambro has a LARP, which is like our lifetime access to research pass NFTs. But if you just want to do the monthly subscriptions, $99 a month, and we try to deliver 10x that value every month. That's our goal anyway.
Dude, when I first heard that you were at NASA and then you moved to crypto, I always thought it must be like how some people think, when there's like a biotech PhD kid that became like a quant, like we lost somebody good to like crypto.
I don't know, man.
You just figure another way to go to the moon, bro.
That's right. It's still a moon boy. It's just.
It's a good one. Wait. I think like one thing that's like really overlapping with what you're doing and like your interest in AI and TAO and all of that. As a researcher in crypto, what's the best AI tools for crypto research these days? Like name like 1 or 2 of them.
There's a lot. I've been playing around with OpenAI's deep research, and that's really good. But honestly, Grok 3 deep research is really good. If you guys have tried that, it's up to date. It uses a lot of Twitter stuff too, which is like topical to a lot of stuff we do, obviously. So Grok 3 is honestly really good. Those are probably the two that I use the most. And then I just like replaced Google with Perplexity. And yeah, that's what I use the most.
Do you have any prompting tips for either Grok or ChatGPT? Because I think for a lot of people, they might just put in like, what is TAO? And then like they're going to give like a very basic answers. But like, how do you typically make it more effective for your research work?
Yeah, try to explain the angle that you're coming from. So say like, I am new to this, or I have a crypto background, or like explain this to me like I'm 5, or use an analogy, and try to like actually talk to it like a normal human being. And I think that usually helps a lot. And when you're doing the deep research, give it some starting points. So say, I'm looking into these 3 projects. I want you to compare and contrast them. Start here for project A, start here for project B, and give them links to where you like them to start. I think that helps a lot. Or if you want specific sources, like say, only go to Cointelegraph for this, or only go to this person's Twitter page to get information on that. I think that helps a lot too. And honestly, just there's AI tools, but there's also getting feedback from people you trust. I think that's like a big part of like where I went wrong early in my crypto career is just
You listen to
only
BitBoy.
like, what's that?
You listen to BitBoy?
No, just not, like communicating my ideas in a group of people that I trusted. I think you have to find your clan, find your group, and
Yes.
like, kind of develop that trust with that group. We try to do that over at Blockmates just to provide like a community, but honestly, just finding 2 or 3 friends that you click with and that you can bounce ideas off of is really helpful. I think that's what I would do first before just talking to an AI.
Yeah,
Okay, we typically try to keep this short and sweet. So my last question, unless you have like anything, Lambro.
No. Do you have any question for us, actually?
Yeah, before my last question, do you have any question for us?
No, you guys buying anything right now?
Okay. I bought more Cook. Fuck.
You bought more Cook?
For real?
Yeah. Like it either will be my biggest dumb move or it will be my biggest LARP. Like okay, my logic is that I sold my ETH to buy Cook. And those were the ETH that I was gonna hodl.
Really? Okay.
So it's like because I am so my logic is because I actually believe in the Cook team. The only problem with them is if ETH pump, I'm sure they will tag on to something. And then if I'm married to ETH, like those bags are married to ETH, I have to buy it. And secondly, I bought some SNX just because of the tokenomics change.
That,
yeah, just for the tokenomics change, and I think it's a good place to bet. I'm trying to bid some BNB, but that is mainly because I couldn't find good BNB ecosystem to add, and I think it will come back, and I believe it will come back because of CZ and talking to a lot of like small ecosystem builders. I think a lot of things have changed. The management has changed, like the way they run things has changed, and maybe I'm just a cult believer.
You see CZ's like YZ, or was it Easy Labs just invested in TensorPlex?
I don't really care about the tech, to be honest, because I think
no, it's a Bittensor subnet / infrastructure team.
Show me. What's up?
It's called TensorPlex.
I remember. Yeah. Binance invested one, right? Is there any way to farm it or get exposure on it? Actually,
can't really. Well, actually, you can play around. They have an LST on ETH that you can, like, if you just want to hold TAO, you can hold their LST.
Okay. I'll put the links in below, and I'll play around. I'll play around with it, and then I might as well switch my TAO to those TAO.
There you go, man.
I've only bought Bitcoin. Boring. But yeah.
Yeah, I bought some too, man. It's I don't think you can go wrong buying Bitcoin right now.
Yeah. Agree.
Before our like real last question, I actually have like my last question for you. It's just like no, but like for real. One prediction for crypto AI in the next 6 to 9 months. What's your like number one take on it?
I think there will be a base model trained on a crypto network. There's a few different projects working on that right now. So Noose just talked about Psyche, which is their new project that's going to launch on Solana. Prime Intellect is launching a new project, and also Bittensor, Templar is one of the subnets, is working on distributed training. So I think we're going to have a base model trained on completely decentralized tech within the next 6 months.
Can it be effective enough though?
That's the goal. I mean, first step is to actually be able to train something that's not just made at a data center. The tech leap to get to that point is huge. And once we get to that point, I think it's pretty easy to scale up from there.
Yeah, like I think what's very interesting is like the small tweak in optimization, because like Manus apparently was like just built on Claude, but they write like their 30 custom toolings around it, and now it's like people are like praising it, and it performs very well. So like maybe we don't even need like a fully functioning like better, like, because I don't think it's going to be better for like the first like iteration of like a base model. But if we have something and then they can really tweak it for like specific use cases, like for on-chain use cases, then it's going to be interesting.
100%. Yeah, I think really what crypto unlocks is the application layer. You can use whatever you want under the hood, but yeah, I think that's where AI is going to live. It's just on crypto rails.
Nice.
Awesome.
Okay.
Last question.
Really last questions. What do you think is required to make it in crypto?
You just have to want to learn about this stuff, right? You have to be interested enough to stick through the drawdowns, stick through the boring periods, because you're going to find all of the interesting shit early. And if you're early and actually interested in like all this new technology, then you're going to be ahead of everybody else. If you just drop out when things go south for like 1 week or 1 month, you're not going to make it. You're just going to be buying tops forever.
100%. Keep your muscle memory trained.
With that said, thank you again for your time, 563. We appreciate all of the alpha. So until next time.
Thank you
That's
very
fun,
much,
man.
sir.
Thanks, guys.